Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation to be here. I actually, over the years, have spoken to various groups who are out in the environment, such as woodlot owners. I have a small lot myself, which I manage terribly badly. When I started doing this about 15 years ago, I'd asked for a show of hands about who had had a tick bite. And this group and the ground search and rescue people always won the competition. But that was then and this is now. So can I have a show of hands about anyone who has not had a tick bite? There are some. Yay! Okay, excellent. Well, there's a difference between never having a tick on you and never noticing a tick on you. You are the elite few. Keep it up. So what I'm going to do is, now that you've all had a nice meal, I'm going to talk about something disgusting. And then you get lunch where we can talk about, well, so I've got to prime you with some revolting things before lunch. Okay, so does this make things go forward or not? This one? Is that you or me? Okay, cool. So mostly this is about the practical side of things. I could go on into the wonderfully exciting aspects of tick biology, which I find thrilling, but most people want to get down to the basics. How do I not get some of the horrible diseases that ticks transmit? I'm going to talk mostly about Lyme disease and its new friend on the block, anaplasmosis, which honestly scares me even more than Lyme disease, which is already terrifying. So, we'll start with a little bit of background on ticks. Why do we care about ticks? There are ticks out there are mosquitoes out there. We hate them all because they suck our blood and give us diseases. Ticks win the competition for having more nasty things in them than any other biting bug of any description. So what they do is they serve to transfer diseases from wild animals, which are chock full of diseases, but because they're wild and they're tougher than we are, they're okay. But when those pathogens get inside of us, we get really sick. So there are a lot of mosquitoes out there, which I think everyone knows come summer. In fact, my mosquitoes are out at my place already. Yes, thank you. We have snow season, we have mosquito season. That would be the seasons. So they transfer a lot of diseases, but mostly just because there's so many mosquitoes. Ticks have the diversity thing going. Okay, so how do ticks get here? Well, once upon a time, long, long far ago, as we heard in the past talk and saw that really dramatic picture of how much different the climate was 150 years ago, the ticks would be brought in on migrating animals like this bird with a big tick embedded on its head. They'd get a nice Canadian winter, which would just freeze them to death. That was the end of it. That was then, this is now. The ticks are brought in on migratory animals. They settle down. It's nice here. The winters are not too bad. And there are lots of things with blood, so they're happy. And this happens to be one of Nova Scotia's two hot, ultra hyper endemic regions for ticks. Congratulations to you all. And Nova Scotia holds the record for the largest tick problem in all of Canada. Again, congratulations. Not necessarily an award you want to win. Okay, so the problem with ticks is not so much the ticks are just gross and disgusting, but it's what they transmit. So the way it works is initially there was some tick that was infected with whatever pathogen. This is the Lyme disease bacteria. That tick gets brought off, it feeds from some local animals, it infects them, and then another local tick, which wasn't infected, then feeds from the infected animal. That tick gets infected, and then all the wave of newly infected ticks can infect your cute little puppy, and unfortunately, anyone working in the industry outside. Tick life cycle, we're going to be quick about this. They start small, they get bigger. Okay? For my classes, we spend a little bit more time on that, but that's about it. They're hardy beasts. They're part of the spider family, so if anyone's seen an egg clutch from a spider, they sort of sit there in silk and they're lots of little babies. Ticks do the same thing. Up top here is a female tick laying eggs. There are 2,000 to 3,000 of them, which means that every female tick that gets a nice blood meal can make a whole lot of baby ticks. So the problem escalates really quickly. Some pictures of ticks for those who can think of nothing better than to stare at pictures of ticks. Probably practically the most important thing you need to know is if a tick is biting you and you pull it off you, how worried should you be? And that depends a little bit on what kind of tick you have. There are any number of ticks out here, 30 to 40 different species. The only two you really need to be concerned with are these guys that have little bits of white on their back. Right now, those are not too bad. So if you get those, you can be reminded to do a good job of your tick checks and be careful and do all your tick repellents, but you don't have to panic. Then there's any other kind of tick. So there are all the other kinds of ticks. They're probably mostly the black-legged tick, which do not actually have black legs. They're dark brown legs. That really bugs me. Also called deer ticks, and they're not always orange. When they get filled up with blood, there's kind of gray. So if there's no white, then you need to worry. If it's been feeding on you for a short time, go see a pharmacist. A single dose may work. If it's been feeding on you for long enough that it's turned gray instead of orange, you need longer antibiotic treatment. So go find a healthcare professional, which is sometimes harder than finding a tick. Okay, so where do we find ticks? They like grasslands, they like forests, so basically the entire maritime region is marvelous to them. Essentially what drives the tick problem are mice, and if you can think of anywhere in the Maritimes where you don't find rodents, let a realtor know, they'll sell a house based on that. So we got a lot of ticks here. When are they active? There's a peak in the spring, a peak in the fall, but basically it's year-round, because even if there's snow on the ground, there are little bits that get sunshine, or there's a groundwater seep. So you can encounter a tick, particularly in Nova Scotia, year-round. That means you have to watch out for them year-round. Okay, this is why we care about ticks. All the nasty things inside of ticks. So what nasty things are most likely to be in your personal tick that is feeding on you depends a little bit on location and a lot on luck, which is one reason why a one-size-fits-all approach to dealing with ticks doesn't work. The big ones in this region are the pathogen that causes Lyme disease, bacteria that causes Lyme disease, the bacteria that causes anaplasmosis, and a parasite that causes babesiosis. Those are the ones that are really coming up here. Lyme disease is horrible, it'll kill you slowly. Anaplasmosis is even more horrible and it'll kill you quickly. And babesiosis is malaria-like. So may I suggest that no one really wants any of these? This is some data as of, it's updated to not quite 2 years ago. It's a bit more current than the public health data. Comes from a company called Genetics, that's the national tick testing place. Where can you find ticks in Nova Scotia? Yeah, like everywhere. And what are the pathogens you're most likely to encounter? Lyme disease, the bacteria is still winning the race, but we've got anaplasmosis coming up in a fairly significant way, and babesiosis coming up. And incidentally, if you're out there with your dogs or in any kind of park or something with family pets, this will affect dogs, also horses. although you may or may not have horses on a woodlot. Last note on ticks is that there's been sort of messaging around there's a safe period. There isn't a safe period where a tick will not transmit a pathogen. Every tick, some ticks are hungrier than other ticks. It depends what they've been doing, just like us. And different pathogens go into your body from the tick at different speeds. So basically, the sooner you get it off you, the better. So you've just come in from your woodlot. Time to strip down and check yourself closely. Don't be shy. You don't necessarily need someone else. There's mirrors will do. I assure you I don't enjoy looking at myself in the mirror, but I do it a whole lot. So some practical sides of things. The basic idea of dealing with tick-borne illnesses is if you can prevent getting bitten by a tick, that's good. If you can get the tick off you early, that's good. And not doing any of those things is not good. So we're going to talk about the prevention side of things. This is your standard public health information. It's oriented towards an urban population, so walk in the middle of a trail. I don't know about your woodlot, but mine doesn't have a whole lot of trails, and the trails it has are used by deer and rabbits, which have ticks. So, you know, there's some other things that will work, and these are the things that will work, and we'll talk about it. So first off, if you wear light-colored clothing, you can see a tick crawling on yourself. So, in case you don't happen to have a glowing white tuxedo or bridal gown kicking around, or that is not your preferred outdoor attire, it's okay. Khaki works just as well, and you can get permethrin-embedded clothing, either commercially or DIY stuff. There are instructions on that on the Canadian Lyme Disease Foundation website. Quite easy to make. All depends on whether you want to invest money in do it. Spend money or just do it yourself. This really helps, particularly in highly infested areas. Bug spray, always a good idea, because aside from anything else, who wants to be bitten by mosquitoes? Ticks are a lot less fussy than mosquitoes, so douse yourself in this stuff and it won't work 100%. The stuff with picaridin or icaridin in it is specifically designed against ticks, and you can usually tell because it's got a little tick logo on the bottle. DEET will work slightly to some extent. Natural tick repellents depends what's in them. For all of them, apply more frequently than is recommended because ticks just don't care particularly. Around your house, if that's an issue, there are things you can do. Nothing works perfectly, but there's some information on this. Some of this is on my website as soon as I get my website back from the people who stole it. Yeah, that's awkward. For your pets, there are a lot of products from the topicals to the pills you eat. Incidentally, according to my dogs, these pills are delicious. And there's a Lyme vaccine. Okay, so that's the prevention. Doesn't always work. So your next bet is to find the tick and find it quickly. Here is some helpful advice about where to check. Ticks like hot, warm, deep, dark crannies. Think about if they come onto your body, around your legs, and incidentally boots are a great idea, particularly taller boots, and rubber boots too. They don't particularly like that. But still they'll get on you, and they're going to crawl upwards to the first warm, hot, damp area. Think about it. That's why this picture here is telling you that you should put yourself in a position where you can look at warm, dark, damp areas, bend down and do so. I actually find it hard to bend that far, but good luck to you if you're flexible. And the big question is there a tick there? If there is a tick there, You should remove the tick. Entirely up to you whether you want to scream first. More practically, use a mirror, and you're looking for a thing that looks like a mole, but it has legs. Your moles don't have legs. The moment you find a mole with legs, get it off you. What to do? Preferred ways of getting it off you are tweezers or a tick twister. There are some bad ideas, such as dousing yourself in kerosene and applying a match. Also nail polish. I don't know about anyone else here, and no judgment, but I don't walk through the woods with nail polish. So anyway, try not to set yourself on fire. Just get the tick off you. If you have a tick, there are things you can do. You can get the tick identified. If you're not comfortable with the has it got white on it, has it not, you could submit it to eTick, which is the public health website for that. They'll ID your tick. You have to take a picture, you send the picture in. And they give you public health advice on what might be in that tick. It's fairly good, as with most things government run, they're a little bit behind the times, so it's kind of what was a known issue 5 to 10 years ago. If you're worried about your particular tick, you could send it in for testing. As of yet, we're still trying to get this funded for under the health umbrella, but no, at this point it's still private, so unfortunately you have to pay for it. And if you do end up getting sick, or if you want information on the permethrin clothing, the Canadian Lyme Disease Foundation, which is canlyme.com, has information on that. The last bit here is what happens if it all goes sideways. Hopefully you get medical treatment. Otherwise, things are not great. However, that's medical and I get in trouble for talking about that. So with that, I'm going to end with my usual advice. We live in an amazing part of the world. We have to get out there and enjoy it. It's been a long winter. Doesn't matter what the winter was like, it's always long. Enjoy spring, enjoy the beautiful parts of the world. If you happen to be working in the beautiful parts of the world, just do a lot of tick checks and do all the prevention stuff. Nothing's perfect, but it'll all help. My team's there, we're working with community members, and I've got a bunch of brilliant, wonderful, committed students. So we're doing our best. And with that, I will let you think about tick and gourd scones, and I'll shut up.